Streaming cyberspace into your place, sanctioned by the Red Light Racing League from Stafford Motor Speedway. It's the Virtual Grip Network's fifth round coverage of the Skitter Creek SK Modified Series Season 13. 7 days ago, as the Red Light Racers prepped for a fourth round battle at Concord, to say Brian Bianchi was racing under the radar would be an understatement, with his best result being an unimpressive 15th in the season opener and no laps led. Bianchi was so low in the standings that he didn't even merit a blip on sonar, yet alone radar. But that all changed when, while racing in fourth with 2 laps to go, the top 3 cars got together and Bianchi was able to pilfer himself a win. It was the veteran's 4th career win in 131 starts. Bianchi's Concord success jumped him 7 rungs on the points ladder, and probably more importantly, earned him an invitation to guest on VGN Weekly. That show's been uploaded, don't want to miss it. Now, the quirkiness of a point system with one drop race rule keeps the opening round winner, Bradley Steffen, and round 3 winner, Eric Teapot Stout, deadlocked atop the points for a second consecutive week. The aforementioned drivers, along with second round winner Brandon Feeney, well, you put those guys together and you've got yourself 4 different winners in 4 different races. Will there be another first-time winner tonight? Perhaps maybe defending champ Jeff Aho? Or will one of the aforementioned drivers that we just talked about pick up a win for a second time? Find out. Pull the lever on the Lazy Boy and settle in for some short track simulated racing that's about to stream your way. A warm Nutmeg hello and welcome, Nutmeg State hello and welcome on this Thursday night, February 6th, 2025. It's the institution that is J.R. Shepard, joining yours truly, Bill Soupson, high up in the VHM broadcast booth to bring you our Words Eye View. Replay Ryan Seneca, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. Okay, J.R., modifieds at Stafford. Sounds like a good match, is it?
Well, Soup, Stafford Motor Speedway is one of my favorite tracks in the iRacing service, and yes, I think this car is a great match for this track. This place is a half-mile in length, has turns banked around 8 or 9 degrees, so not a lot of banking, but these modifieds, we know they are momentum race cars, and the name of the game tonight will be carrying that momentum through these long, flat corners. There's more than one way to do that at this place and get the job done. Some drivers, they like to hug the bottom of the corner all the way around, and other drivers kind of like to do a diamond line. But those variations in racing line that we will see here tonight, Soup, that is what's going to make it able for these drivers to have passing opportunities and should make the racing very exciting for us.
We'll talk about the race details in a minute. Let's quickly take a look at the points. You know, I want to talk about Rich Blake. He made a season debut at Concord, so the number of drivers who have raced at least once this season climbs to 28, with 16 having raced in every event. Now, the rules package allows the drivers to drop their single worst events, so this graphic reflects each driver's best 3 out of 4, with each driver's worst result, what we're calling being put in the pocket. As fate would have it, both Bradley Steffen and Eric Teapot Stout posted their worst results of the season at Concord. So with the Concord results going in the pockets of each of those drivers, their point total of 121 holds, and they're still tied up on top of the standings. A second was Fred Leclerc's best finish. He's a dozen spots higher after Concord than before. Kid Lemon Lime, Luke Logan Allen, leads all drivers in collected incident points. He's got 57 of them. That's one more than Brian Neff, who's a little farther down the point standing. Between Allen and Neff in the points sit Brandon Feeney, who will also stash Concord in his pocket. How about Fred Ocaris? Well, he's tied with Neff in the standings, but with a previous no-show, his pocket has nothing in it but lint. Concord saw TJ Henson podium for the first time this season. How about Mr. Lemon Lime? That's Kenny Allen. He finished 6th at Concord. That's right behind his boy. And then there are 3 drivers that are tied for 10th. All right, JR, what's the story here? How far are we going? How long do we go? What are the rules?
Yeah, Soup, tonight we're going to turn 100 laps around Stafford Motor Speedway. So these drivers, they do have a set of tires left into the pits here tonight. Don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of that. They will wear those right side tires, but most of these races have been just trying to get that track position, especially if you have speed. We will see these drivers both on the initial green and the restarts. It is go on green only. So we saw that come into play last week a little bit, but yeah, absolutely. Not like some of the other leagues or just iRacing in general on the official side. We have to wait till the green flag comes out before we go. So there will be some games potentially played on that end. Got to watch for that here tonight.
Always fun. Okay, qualifying is done, which means we'll get to call the grid. And you know what? The only reason we can call this grid is because of our sponsor, racedaycd.com. You know, they're the most comprehensive site for short track racing news in New England. So it's great to have racedayct.com with us. And with that said, let's go ahead and look at the grid right now. On pole, well, he's a former champion. He's got a win under his belt so far this season. It is Eric Stout. He's next to the defending champion, the only two champions in the field, Jeff Aho.
Rolling off in third place now, we got Ken Allen in that 81 car. Alongside him in the 14 is Brian Bianchi.
Bianchi is quick after that win. He's got a little bit of pep in his step. Rob Higgins will start in the 5th position. Outside of him, he's got a win here previously. That is AJ Hamill.
Rolling off in 7th place, we got Rex Hoyle. Alongside him in 8th will be Josh Buckley tonight.
Okay, only making his 2nd start of the season, it's Rich Blake. He's going to be starting inside of Fred Alcaraz, another previous winner.
Rolling off in 11th, we got Chris Oliver, and alongside him we have TJ Henson.
In the Baker 7th spot, the man who finished 2nd last time out, Fred Leclerc. Outside of him, Brian Neff.
Rolling off in 15th tonight, we have Luke Logan Allen, and alongside him in the 26th, Donnie Moore making his return this week.
Edna Vecchian will be starting in 17th, flanked by Brandon Feeney, a winner this season.
Rolling off in 19th, we got Bob Higgins. Alongside him in 20th will be Andrew Massey.
Hidden Blackjack, opening round winner Bradley Steffen, way down the list tonight. In the Double Deuce, it is Double Deuce Bruce Pearson.
And rolling off in 23rd, we got Low Jewel in the 2 car. Alongside him in the 93 car will be Chris Hazlett.
All right, all the business is out of the way. I'm not going to get in trouble for missing the sponsor. And now we turn our attention to Eric Stout. Champion versus champion, Stout and Aho. Remember, they go on the green flag. Let's watch it. They wait. Come on, flagman, throw it. Gather up the chickens, take cover on the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And it is Teapot. Eric Stout leading the Stampede down into the first corner. Trying to find his way down is Aho. Trying to give him no room is the 14 of Bianchi. Bianchi with that win in his last time out would like to make it 2 in a row. Rolling the top side is the 18 of AJ Hamill. He's going to lose a position though. He almost puts it in the wall because the 81 of Ken Allen getting underneath him.
Yeah, right now that inside line is definitely going to be where you want to be, but the car can get very loose. We saw the 18 there get loose coming off the corner. You got to work the throttle here. Be very easy with that right rear tire, otherwise you're going to get it angry.
AJ says, I'm coming down, Bob. Rob Higgins says, okay, and he gets the yellow car, gives him some room. Higgins now racing in 6th. The back half of your top 10 filled out by Rex Hoyle, Joshua Buckley. Buckley under attack, though, stuck on the outside. Here comes newcomer Rich Blake underneath him in the 66.
Yeah, and Rich has had a good run, like his first start last week, finished in 7th, I believe. He's looking to capitalize on his second run here and continue to move forward. He's making that inside line work right now.
Buckley, nobody has more experience at this track than Granny Hips. The 13 out there, he's never missed a race. This is the 13th time that the Red Light Racing League has come to Stafford. Now Buckley finds his way in there. Let's see if Blake can run down the gap there all the way to catch up to Hoyle.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And we talked about it last week. It's always interesting when you see a gap and you want to watch and see if that gap's going to start to close or open up or even maintain, because if it's not closing up, you're probably holding up those guys that are behind you.
24 drivers took the grid, and they've all managed to find the inside line. They are single file right now. Oh, I apologize. There's one guy to the outside, and our director found him. Oh, that's Lemon Lime stuck out there. Lemon Lime tries to come down in front of El Vickion, and he gets it done.
Yeah, he was a little bit lucky there, and that is a move that you can do, kind of an over-under type move to get momentum and make a pass up off the corner, but you got to be recognizing where that guy behind you is, because he may try to stick his nose up and underneath you there.
Boy, passing is at a premium. We look at big movers. Nobody is up more than 2 positions. TJ Hansen, Brandon Feeney, and Chris Hazlip. Everybody else pretty much racing where they started.
Yeah, they are, and the big thing is, I know on the screen, it kind of looks like these drivers are riding around, but they are working. These cars are not easy to drive. They do have a lot of grip going into the corner and really through the center of the corner, which makes that rear end very loose. And a lot of these drivers, like I said earlier, they have a set of tires in the pits, but they're probably not going to take it, so they're trying to work those tires, only run as fast as they need to right now.
There's another 2-wide battle. Stuck on the high side is the 66 of Blake. Blake was picking up some ground, but now that looks bad because they're lined up. That's Buckley who got by. The 52 of TJ Hansen also coming by as well. The 17, that's Chad Alcaraz. He's got a win at Stafford in his resume. He's trying to tuck in there as well. Boy, you get stuck up there and you start to drop.
Yeah, and we saw Blake, moving forward. Now Buckley's able to take that spot back, and one of the things that we need to look for if we can continue to run green flag laps, the right front tire is something that you can really burn off, because these modifieds, I said earlier, they have a lot of grip. It's very tempting to drive into the corner hard and just turn that wheel, but the more you turn that wheel, the harder that right front tire gets and the less grip you get over time. And we're kind of getting into that window, 10 to 25 laps, where you'll start to see some guys back up a little bit.
Guys who are fast at the early part of the stint may not be fast at the end of the stint. Let's check in up front. Stout has led the whole way. He led 98 laps last time out, and all he got for it was a race that he's going to drop as he got together at the very end while out in front. Aho just has not had the season he wants so far. Still plenty of time for Jeff to get some momentum and try to make a run at a second championship. Bianchi with some momentum from that win last time out, racing very competitive like now. And then there's the elder of the Allens out there, Ken Allen, who got turned from his young boy last week. Was able to recover and finish right behind him.
Yeah, and those top 4 cars, they're slowly breaking away from that second set that is behind them, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So I think right now these drivers, they're really just trying to ride. You touched on Jeff Aho, the rough season he's had. I saw last week where he did a lot of conservative type driving, trying to get his season back on track. Now he has track position, and I think he's being conservative a little bit right now, not to push the issue, make sure he brings home a good finish.
Aho with 2 poles this season. Didn't get one here tonight as he has a start on the outside. I want to check in on our big mover. It is TJ Hansen. He's up 3 spots. Started in 12th, racing in 9th right now, but he's under pressure. The 17 is looking for a way around. That is Chad Alcaraz.
Yeah, and Chad's a driver, we've seen it in the past races this season. He will look around, and that's what I like in a driver. He will search around, try to find some additional grip, see where his opponents are weak, and try to make a move on them. And you can see he's running a different line than TJ Henson, so I really like what I'm seeing out of him. He's pushing hard because he did get a little bit loose off the corner there, but I still like what I'm seeing.
That train being led by Josh Buckley. Buckley's got quite a distance before he could run down Rex Hoyle, which is the caboose of the lead train. And that lead train beginning to spread out a bit.
Yeah, and I can start to see it on screen here. We haven't talked about it at all tonight, but the marbles up on the top side, you can see those marbles starting to collect, the rubber pieces up at the top of the groove, top of the track there. The Warrior, the reason I mentioned that is because right now the track is about 2 lanes wide as far as where you can race. Here in a little bit, it's only going to become about 1.5 groups wide, and if you get stuck on the outside, your car is not going to turn. So these drivers are going to have to recognize that and make adjustments with how they're driving the track.
Love that stationary shot. Really shows how the cars are single file. That blue car stuck to the outside. Now we got a few guys doubling up. Let's go to the 66. of Rich Blake. Remember, he was on the outside last time we checked. Well, now he's got underneath, and the 52 of Chris Oliver is stuck up there. The 71 just got a big bump. That is Fred Leclerc. He got a big bump from Brian Neff. Neff ready to go in the 60.
Yeah, Brian was fast in practice. Didn't have a great qualifying lap, so he's definitely got speed, and he's looking to move forward, and it looks like he's bringing Donnie Moore along with him.
Neff and Moore. At the 52, Oliver really having a hard time out there. I think maybe, JR, do you think possibly the dirtiness of that top side now is how low can he, is he in it right now in that second lane? Where's the messy start, hard start?
Yeah, the big issue is just on turn in. You don't want to turn in too late, and you really got to be careful with that because you want to turn in as close as you can to your competitor, especially in the turn one. If you don't, there's just not enough grip, and the guy on the inside has a huge advantage. So that's the biggest part, but also those marbles as they gather up will start to get worse and worse if you enter too high, and eventually the car's just going to go straight. So it's really that entry where you got to pay attention.
Yeah, I just was going to ask you that. You answered me there in your very last thing. The problem is that we ride on board with the man in second right now, Aho, looking all over Stout. The car just pushes. It doesn't get loose, right? It just wants to go to the wall?
Yeah, correct. It just makes you want to put more steering wheel into it to try to get the car to turn, but the car continues to just go straight. It's almost like half of your tires, at least the front half of your car, being on ice. It just does not turn. And we actually got Neff. There's no caution, but Neff is going around off of turn 4. Might have to try to get a shot and see what caused that there.
A little bit of a self-spin, then he spun off into the pavement, does a little 360. JR, I guess because he's off the racing line, sometimes the stewards will let that go, huh?
Yeah, and Stafford is one of the worst on the service. And I love the service, so I'm not putting it down, but if you spin to the inside here at Stafford any at all, the caution will rarely come out. So that's just kind of what we saw there. We may see more of it.
Look on that, Neff able to get out, still on the lead lap, but he is dead last now. Okay, we like to show you the action all through the field, but right now I think the best action might be up front, and it is Aho. He's all over the back of Stout.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit earlier about him possibly just trying to be conservative and ride, but what I'm seeing here is they have opened up a slight gap to Brian Bianchi right behind them. In doing that, that gives Jeff Aho the freedom to kind of move around and try some stuff, and that's what we're seeing. And Jeff is kind of seeing where his car is working slightly better than Eric's. Now, whether or not he can make a move is yet to be seen, but it's allowing him to move around and try to learn what he needs to do here.
How much of an advantage is it for him to get out in front of Stout as far as tire wears go or heat? Is that something that he may want to pay a little bit so he can maybe heat up the tires to make the pass and let him cool off once he's out in front?
If you can get the job done in 10, 15 laps, it's probably worth doing. But yes, otherwise you're just going to have to sit there and ride because you're going to get those tires way too hot. Brian Bianchi, Ken Allen, those drivers are going to start attacking on you at that point. So he's got to be smart on what he's doing here, and when he can make the pass, make it. Otherwise, he's going to have to ride for a little bit.
The caboose on that five-car train is the 18 of A.J. Hamill. He's done a good job of catching those guys. He was able to pull in right behind Ken Allen. But I want to look at the two cars back behind because this is really exciting. The blue car, the 54 of Rex Hoyle, has been all over Rob Higgins right now. This is a nice battle. Those two guys racing hard and still trying to see if they can catch up to Hamill. All you little soldiers in Soup's clipboard army, why don't you mark down the gap there between Hamill and Higgins? It's about a 9/10 of a second. Let's see if the number 40 can run down the front 5.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting to see. And I tell you, those two drivers on the screen, they kind of have the best seat in the house right now because they don't really have anybody pressuring them. They're just kind of in their own area on the racetrack and just able to run what they want to run. And you can see, out of all the cars that we've been watching, those two drivers seem to be the most under control. That means that they're only driving the car as hard as they want to right now. All
right, time to look at another driver. Car number 26, Donnie Moore, started in 16th. He's tied for big mover, up 4 spots. Moore was able to get around Oliver. Oliver having a hard time. Started in 11th, has fallen 2 spots behind that, racing in the Baker Sutton spot right now. The other guy who's made some spots up is previous winner Brandon Feeney. Started in 18th up to 14th. But JR, going from 18th to 14th, a little different from going from 8th to 4th.
Yes, correct. So, yeah, as you get closer to the front in this field, it's going to become harder and harder to try to make those passes because even though on the speed charts we may only be talking about 1 or 2 tenths of a second in lap time, it becomes significantly more difficult to make that pass. Not only just because they're slightly faster, but also the racecraft gets a little bit better as you get up toward the front.
Quickly, a long look at car number 71. He is racing in 24th position. This is Fred Leclerc, who had a great run last time out. Got bad news for you, Fred. You're in the last 4 laps down. Here's the good news. They have drop races, so you can just forget about this one and put it in your pocket, and you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we're watching on the screen. I've been kind of paying attention to the leader. I know we want to continue to go through the field, but the one thing that we kind of talked on earlier was Aho trying to make that charge. Eric Stout's now opened up a little bit of a gap, and that tells me either one of 2 things. Either Aho has pushed too hard, or he has realized, hey, my tires are getting hot, I've got to cool them down, so he's backed off. But right now it looks like he's starting to be under attack by Brian Bianchi.
Nobody has led more laps than Stout and Aho. Aho, about 50 more than Stout. Of course, Stout had a great run last time out. We talked about it. He led 98 laps of that race at Concord.
Yeah, and the thing about Eric Stout, just looking at the stats from this season, out of all the drivers who have started every race, he's got the highest average finish. I believe it's 7.8. So even with that bad run last week, he's still got the best average out of all the drivers that have been full-time so far.
The director was on. We were looking at that yellow and blue car there. The guy's trying to run down the front 5. Higgins and Hoyle. Hey, let's look into the 17. He's all like, oh, they're side by side. No, let's watch that side by side battle. I'm sorry to jump you around so much there, director. But I catch one side by side. That was the lap car, I guess. It wasn't a side by side battle. Oh, that's the 38. Brandon Feeney got stuck to the top side and he loses some positions.
Yeah, and we saw him just slightly tag the wall off of turn 4. And some of that is just getting a little too high because those marbles are starting to collect and he got just slightly too high. It's very difficult as a driver. I can't stress how hard it is when you're side by side. You know you need to stay as low as possible. You need to stay as close to that driver on the inside as you possibly can. But at the same time, you don't know what that driver on the inside is going to do, so you want to give him room. So it's very, very difficult to balance that.
Here they come at you. Look at this. Boom, 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 right in a row. Big mover so far now. It keeps changing. Started in 21st. I was surprised that Bradley Steffen was so far down the order. He's the winner of the opening round, sitting well up in the points. He's up 7 positions now. And other than Neff's mistake, all the passes have been made on the track. I guess you could include maybe Leclerc, who had a bad one. He's 4 laps down. But most everything's been done on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're coming to halfway, so these drivers are putting on a great show as far as the talent that they're displaying because, number one, this track is hard to drive when you're in a car that has this much downforce and it gets loose coming off the corner. You have to work that throttle. But also when you're trying to set up and make passes, which we have seen drivers making passes, it's very easy to make side-to-side contact up off the corner. So these drivers doing a fantastic job here.
Love that camera shot there as they come down and sitting right behind corner number 3 as they're heading towards you. And you could really see Higgins and Hoyle trying to run down the front 2. Little by little, they are wheeling them in.
They are, and they're going to get there if they keep doing what they're doing and don't get overexcited or anxious about catching that pack. They're going to get there. We can see that those 4 drivers behind Eric Stout, they closed back in just a few moments ago. So speculate a little bit on what Aho and maybe some of what those other drivers are doing. and whether or not they've taken care of their tires. Obviously they have, because they've been able to close that gap.
There are bonus points for laps led, so if you're thinking championship, and Stout's got to be thinking eventually Jeff Aho is going to get things in order, and he's going to be someone I'm going to be counting points at near the end of the season. Keeping him behind you, that's one bonus point you don't lose.
Yeah, absolutely. In a championship, those are the type of things that you have to think about. And on the nights where you have track position, like Eric Stout does on Jeff Aho, you want to capitalize on it because that's your best opportunity. You don't have to work as hard to get it done. Right now, Eric Stout's doing a great job. We're just going to have to see how it plays out in these next 45 laps here.
I remember doing an interview that I had once with you, JR, when you had a bad result, and I remember you saying, the points count just as much in race number 1 as they do in the season finale. So every point matters. You just can't focus on a bad result you have at the end, because the bad result you have early on hurts you just as bad.
Absolutely, and that's the way it is, and that's why every point is so critical, and that's why when you're having a bad night, when things just aren't going your way, it's very, very important not to make it worse than what it is, because you want to get all of the points that you possibly can each and every week.
Okay, I'm going to jump you down to Bradley Steffen. He's up 7 spots. He's left the guys behind him, put a long distance between him and Luke Logan Allen. And he's trying to run down the next guy. And that's the guy, that's a lap down. That is Fred Leclerc. I thought he was closer than he was. Leclerc's out there 4 laps down, so he's got a ways to go before he gets to Chris Oliver.
He does, and as we talk about that, we see on the screen here, we've actually got Rex Hoyle trying to make that pass on Higgins. Higgins getting just a little bit too high on the exit and touching that wall, but his car's going to be fine.
Those two guys doing their best, trying to run down the road. I think that might have cost them a little ground there as they start to battle each other.
Yeah, it definitely does, and they're going to have to get back into the rhythm too. This is one of those tracks where it's not super important, but it is easy to get out of your rhythm once you try to pass a driver. You start either underdriving or overdriving that corner, and doing either of those things will cost you a lot of speed in the corners at this track.
There was a lot of talk in the forums amongst the drivers of the aggressiveness of the racing so far this season and all the cautions that are going out. I don't know if they took that to heart or not, or if I'm going to jinx everybody right now. But we've got ourselves 60 green flag laps of racing.
Yeah, these drivers have definitely done, we don't know how the end of the race is going to be, obviously, like we saw last week, but they've done a great job the last several races on getting at least past halfway without having a whole lot of incidences occur. So they're learning, they're getting better, and a lot of what we saw early in the season could have just been anxiety from a new season starting in the league. Everybody's anxious to get going. Mistakes sometimes get made.
Nice little battle, a little farther back. Okay, director, stick with me here. Let's look at Higgins and Alcaraz here. The number 17 slowly coming in. What I think happened there is Hoyle and Higgins got to having some play, got to be doing a little horseplay. I think that's going to cost them a little bit. And now the 40's having a hard time sticking with the blue number 54. And the 17 is coming.
Yeah, the 17's looking very good. So I know the laps are winding down. Even if he's able to get by Higgins, which I believe he's going to be able to, he's going to have to go after Rex Hoyle. And by that time, he's probably not going to have enough time to really catch and start to pass those top 5 drivers. But he's definitely got a lot of speed. So if you're in that 17 car right now of Alcaraz, he's hoping that a caution comes out, because right now he just needs some track position.
Indeed. And Alcaraz sitting in an 8th position would like to get one more spot maybe before that caution comes out. All right, let's go up front. Because right now, on Eric Stout, tighter than a new pair of shoes on a rainy day, is Jeff Aho. Aho with a good drive off of 4. He has been doing some reconnaissance racing, testing the inside, testing the outside. I almost wonder if Aho would be more aggressive if he didn't have Bianchi back there who's ready to pounce. You know, if Aho were to make an attempt and it were to fail, he could turn a 2nd place into a 5th place really quick.
Absolutely, that's a great observation, and I can tell you if you're in Eric Stout's position, you want Brian Bianchi right on Jeff Aho's rear end because that limits what Jeff can do to try to make a pass. And I can tell you from experience that when you're the leader, it's not always a bad thing to try to slow down and back that pack up.
Let's look at we'll get this on replay. The 18, this was AJ Hamill. Happened right then when I gave out that shout. Got together with Ken Allen, and I thought those two guys were going to go in the wall. We'll see if we can find it. That was Hamill was trying to make a move on Allen, and they got slowed down. They keep it going straight, though. They didn't swap positions, so we're not able to find it. They were able to keep it going straight. But what happened was those two guys, the horseplay going on. Now, look, they've lost touch with Bianchi.
Yeah, and that's going to start to break that pack up. And where I said before that drivers like Alcaraz may not be able to catch that pack, now they might be able to. So you can see Rex Hoyle just ahead of that group. Yeah. He's already closing the gap.
So a few things to watch. The front four are behaving. Hoyle trying to see if he can close in on Hamill up there, but watch a little far. Here's the pass, the 17 now, getting underneath the 40. He was a-coming, and Higgins is going the wrong direction. One more spot for Chad Alcaraz.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you get to the inside, if you're on the inside through turns 1 and 2, it's a fairly easy pass, but you can see Higgins, he's going to race hard. He knows that there's not many laps left in this race. He wants every position.
The pass is made. Stout, Aho, Bianchi, your front three. And now Bianchi has a little bit of breathing space with Ken Allen drifting back there with Hamill. I wonder if having that win last time out, if he's got a little confidence, maybe start playing around with the 21 of Aho, see what he can do. He seems to be quick enough to stay with the front two.
Yeah, he definitely is, and I saw almost contact being made between Bianchi and Aho just a minute ago because, like you said, Bianchi can now move around. He's not being, stressed from behind. He doesn't have a car right behind him, so he's moving around, working the line, trying to figure out what's better, and he had a slight run, and there was almost contact a minute ago, so something Aho's going to have to keep in his memory bank.
I think the fact that Allen and Hamill are able to catch back up to the back of Bianchi, they'll be there soon, kind of tells us how quick Eric Stout is right now. Whether Stout has given us all he's got or just enough.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching Eric. His car's very under control. We obviously know what kind of driver he is, so he's very good and calculated. I got to be honest, I think he may be backing this pack up on purpose because, like we touched about, if Jeff Aho has somebody right behind him, he's not going to be able to move around and try to make a pass. So that kind of ensures that Eric can maintain that lead. If I was him, that's something I'd be thinking about doing.
Of course, remember Eric Stout was in this position last round at Concord. There's a great run from Aho out of, and they touch. Oh my goodness, getting to the walls, Bianchi. Bianchi comes down, collects the 18. Oh, hard into the wall is AJ Hamill, and we have a yellow. Do we have a yellow, or it's not out yet?
No yellow, yeah. And that's the painful thing about Stafford is you get incidences like this, and there's no caution. We see the replay here. Oh, had that run. He knew he was about to spin Eric Stout, so he backed out, and there was just a big stack up of Bianchi and the 18 there. And, AJ Hamill, his night's probably going to be done as far as getting a result that's worth anything.
Almost shades of what happened. I was just about to talk about last round at Concord with Stout out in front, and then things went south, and he led 98 laps and ended up with like a 21st position that he had to drop. Well, now that clears out the field a little bit with Bianchi out of the mix. Now let's see what Aho can do. He's got nothing to worry about behind him. The 21 can try low, can try high. Oh, Stout out there racing like a kidney stone. Very hard to pass.
Yeah, and Stout's going to have to start pushing. If he has anything left, he's going to have to try to open up that gap just a little bit. He does so off of turn 4, but you can see right up ahead of these drivers, they are catching the end of the field. They're going to be lapping cars, so that could be an opportunity for Jeff Aho.
First guy there coming to his little lipper, Chris Hazlip. He's a veteran driver, started dead last. He's up a few spots. Hazlip, will have to go out and race out there in the marbles, but he's pretty experienced. He'll probably do a very good job. Watch him lift and let these guys go by. The cars that are coming up, Hazlip, Higgins, and Alvecchion. Boy, Aiden having a tough time of it. Alvecchion not having the run that we're usually used to seeing. Here comes the two guys.
Yeah, and I expect once Stout gets there that you're going to see Hazlip, and he's already starting to do it. I think Hazlip's going to give them room. Now, the two drivers in front of Hazlip there, they're really racing each other right now, and they know that the leaders are coming, so he may not get that same courtesy once he gets there.
Boy, look at the pace difference between Hazlip and Stout. To be honest with you, it's not as great. Oh, Stout gets really loose coming out of 2. That may be the opportunity for Aho. Jeff looking for a way down, not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what we saw a little bit earlier when that accident happened down the backstretch. Stout's just getting just slightly too high through the middle of 1 and 2, and there's just not the same grip level when you do that. Jeff Aho's able to roll the very bottom, and that's something that I like doing at this track, is just maintaining that bottom line, and he's going to get to the inside of Eric if that same thing continues to happen.
And Hazlip, the Lipper's been doing a good job keeping the high line open and letting him go, but it's just taken so long for Stout to get there. Now he is there. Now he's in the weak spot for him is 2. Hazlip goes to the inside. Momentum for Aho. Is he going to force it going into 4? No, they get it done. Nice job, Lipper.
Yeah, nice job there. So that could have been very messy. When you're the leader, you just don't know exactly where the lap cars are going to go, even when they're trying to be courteous and get out of the way. You see Stout, he's continuing to open up that inside through the middle of 1 and 2. Jeff's going to eventually say, I'm going for it, and there could be contact made, so this is going to be a place to be watching toward the end here.
And my partner called it. We look up ahead. Alvecchion is really being under attack there from Bob Higgins. Higgins would like to make that move. They've been racing. 2 cars are harder to get around. This is going to seem like a stupid statement than 1 car. We'll see how it plays out. Stout is there now. This is fascinating.
Yeah, and you can see Stout, he's trying to look to the inside. He's going to have the room given to him here, so he's able to get that.
No corner exit, though.
No corner exit, and that could open up an opportunity, but you see it also slowed Jeff Aho's exit as well, and that's what you need to be thinking about when you're the leader. You don't want to hurt yourself and give that guy behind you an opportunity, so sometimes you got to time these moves just right.
11 to go. Now the 271 goes high up there. Oh, drifted up. I'm telling you, JR, I don't know. Corner number 2 seems to be the Teapot's weakness. Stout having a hard time getting a drive off there. He scares me every time out of 2. Look at the drive now that Aho gets.
Yeah, absolutely. He is worrying me through 1 and 2, and what I'm kind of observing from Stout is that he does appear to be tighter through 1 and 2. That will help you down in turns 3 and 4, so it seems that he is, like you said, better through 3 and 4, but 1 and 2, Aho seems to have the advantage.
Stout has a win this season. Aho does not. Aho racing very high up. We've had 4 races, 4 different winners. Stout, one of them. Look at the drive again. Off a 2 for Aho. Just missed. Give him a little bit of a tap by maybe 4 inches.
Yeah, it's continuing to get closer up front here. The only thing that's good for Eric Stout is he does have some breathing room. I believe we're coming to about 7 laps to go. He's probably going to get there, but he may not get there to the last couple of laps.
We have been green the whole way. Really only 1 incident there as a couple cars split off to the inside. A.J. Hamill took a hard hit to the retaining wall that was way on the other side of the golf course. Aho working. Even if Aho does not get the win, a second place would be a nice way to build up a little momentum. But I think now the point system is very important here. There's a 3-point bonus for winning the race, so there's an incentive for Jeff to get Eric if he can.
Absolutely. I expect that Jeff is going to go for every move that he possibly can, especially as we get inside these last 5 laps to go here. But the problem that I'm seeing is that Ken Allen is as fast as these top 2 drivers. He is starting to close in, and if he gets to the back of Aho makes a move, Ken Allen might be able to capitalize on that move.
When you go green for 95 laps, lap traffic is a little different than usual. We're coming up on the back of Lowell Jewell, who has good pace. I mean, it's taken him 95 laps to get there, so Lowe will try to get out of the way. Aho again with a great drive off of 2. This is the best I've seen him. Let's see if he dives it in deep into 3. Stout cuts down low. Stout's going to take a tight inside line. That's going to give Aho the momentum. Aho takes the car, gets the left sides down on the apron. The car gets to go loose, and he cannot get it done. What exciting racing from those front 2.
Yeah, that was Aho's best opportunity there. He just was not able to apply the throttle on the exit of turn 4 down on that inside line. If he had been able to do that, that would be a different story. We'd be at least side by side right now.
Aho will have a couple more bites of the Stout apple. They are working lap number 99. 6 corners to go. I think Lowell Jewell, the number 2, is going to be able to stay out in front of him for this next lap. Coming out of 4. 4 corners to go, and I'm wrong. They are on the back of Lowell Jewell. Bossman, put that car somewhere.
Yeah, and that's what Eric Stout's hoping for. Oh, he almost makes contact. It's going to check him up, but it's not going to cost him that much. He's just going to have to protect that inside line into 3.
2 corners to go. He dives it down low. Can Aho make it stick? Can he get a bite? He couldn't last time around. No! Valiant try as he does. 2-time winner this season, Eric Stout. Jeff Aho finally gets the result he was hoping for, that second. Not a win, but it'll still moving up. And how about Ken Allen with a nice podium? Started in 3rd, and that's where he finishes. Woo! Doggy, that was some good racing. Hope you enjoyed that 100 green flag laps here from the Red Light Racing boys. The racing is over. Our broadcast is not. We'll take a short break, come back, run down the entire finishing order, talk to Stout, Aho, and Allen before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. Welcome back to the Nutmeg State and Stafford Motor Speedway here as we bring you VGN's fifth round coverage of the 13th edition of the Red Light Racing Skitter Creek Modified Series. You know, when I talk about the Nutmeg Steak, I'm talking about Connecticut. And of course, Connecticut is in New England. And when I think of New England, there are three things I think about: clam chowder, Plymouth Rock, and of course, racedaycd.com, racedayct.com, the most comprehensive site for short track racing news in New England. And how about some news right now? Let's give you the finishing order here of this event. Wire to wire green flag lap, and he led the whole way. All 100 was Eric Stout as he picks up his second victory of the season, first driver to have multiple wins. Jeff Aho, the defending champ, started in second and raced behind Stout the entire way. Ken Allen did the same, looking at those two, third to third. Big mover here was Rex Hoyle. He picked up 3 spots to get his 4th position. Chad Alcaraz picked up 5 spots to end up in 5th. Rob Higgins, Joshua Buckley, nice run from Granny Hips. Didn't get much screen time. Well done, Josh. He comes home in 7th. Last round winners, Brian Bianchi. Well, he'll settle for 8th with TJ Henson in 9th. Rounding out your top 10. Newcomer, watch out for this guy. He's sneaky fast. Rich Blake. Then in 11th would be Donnie Moore. Chris Oliver will go in 12th. In the Baker's dozen spot, previous winner, Bradley Steffen. Andrew Critical Massey, didn't get to see much of him. He picked up 6 spots to finish in 14th. Brandon Feeney, round 2 winner, in 15th. Double Deuce Bruce Pearson had a quiet night, picked up 6 spots to get to 16th. Oh, Kid Lemonade had a hard time of it. He finishes 2 spots back from where he grid in 17th. The boss man, Lowell Jewell, picked up 5 for 18th position. Aiden Alavecchion, we saw him race back there. He's the first car 1 lap down with Rob Higgins, Chris Hazlip, Brian Neff, Fred LeClaire, and A.J. Hamill. Well, he's won here before, but not tonight. He finishes dead last, 23 laps behind the leader. With that said, let's go ahead and dial up. We got Teapot as he wins the 2nd race of the season. Eric Stout, congratulations. How's it feel?
It feels really good, Soup. A little bit of redemption, from last week. I was obviously disappointed with that finish. But me and AJ, we've been putting a lot of work in the 6 Rings Racing team. Showing up, just trying to show up prepared. And really, I knew that there would be a group out front. I thought this week would sort of be a cream rises to the top kind of moment with this combo. Stafford is particularly tough, regardless of the conditions. I think you saw really the better guys in the league with Aho and Bianchi and AJ, right up there. Fighting for the win, because Jeff was all over me from the jump. I couldn't shake him. I think the most I got out in front of him was 0.4 of a second, and I thought, all right, now I got some breathing room. And then he'd reel me back in, and then those laps last maybe 30, 35 laps, I was just really hanging on to it. And then we got into the lap traffic, and that was potentially a nightmare, but everyone kept their heads on straight and was really happy to go 100 green. I think that's what Red Light Racing is all about. We like to have the long green flag runs, not a lot of cautions, and let the guys race it out, not get caught up in a big mess.
The boys put on a good show tonight. Okay, I'm up here in the booth. I got a pretty smart guy sitting next to me, though. But we both thought that while you were strong out of 4, out of 2 was your Achilles heel, and that did we have it right, or were you just playing with us?
You are absolutely correct. I couldn't figure out. I was playing around during the race. I was trying some different things. I couldn't figure out what Jeff was doing to be able to generate the run off of 2, and then as you start to push a little bit more, the car gets a little more upset. And I definitely had a couple sideways moments. I think we did get together there. I think the 60 had spun to the inside.
Yep.
Right as I was coming off the corner. So I caught him in my periphery, and that sort of got me crossed up. And then Jeff got into the back of me, and we were just laughing in this sort of staging area that he must have been his blood pressure, his heartbeat through the roof after the the Smyrna wreck. I know he definitely didn't want to have another incident, let alone with me. So all good there. Glad that he kind of gave me some breathing room to gather it back up, and we were able to race it out.
Well, we were all thinking the same thing, especially what happened last time out. Congratulations, man. Well done.
Thanks, Soup. See you next week.
Eric Stout, your winner tonight. First driver to win 2. JR, who you got?
Yeah, I'm here with Jeff Aho, the second place finisher tonight. Jeff, man, we've talked about some of your struggles early in this season. We know you're the defending champion, got plenty of speed. How good does it feel to get a run like this here tonight? But also, what kind of momentum does it give you moving forward?
Well, thank you very much for having me on here. I talked to Eric Stout before the race, and I was like, all I want is a top 5. I've been doing well in the qualifying, staying up front, but for whatever reason, I just finished 20th. So it's kind of a momentum boost to just go to second. So hopefully I can just keep it on. I would have liked to win, but quite honestly, it was too hard to pass tonight. I just kept spinning the tires. I fall back and try to get up to him, and every time I thought I could make a move, it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the risk of spinning him out or myself, No,
absolutely, and that's good for the viewers at home to see and hear. I talked a little bit about how tough this place is to pass. It really is when you're trying to work a guy over, right? Especially when you got somebody that may be right behind you.
Well, exactly. Brian was behind me the whole time, so the move to make is to kind of brake in the middle lane and then swoop it really far down low and hope the other guy glides up and you can get your right front to his left rear. We just didn't have the traction to do that tonight, and I couldn't make it happen because Brian was on my bumper. So if I left the door open, now I'm in third. So I just hung out in second.
It's painful here sometimes, man. I understand. Hey, before I let you go, I want to ask your thoughts going into Lanier next weekend, and then the weekend after not the weekend, the Thursday after that, we're going to Watkins Glen. So what are your thoughts on the next 2 tracks?
I need a shorter intake and a smaller intake manifold for Watkins Glen. I tried practicing there. That's a whole different beast. I'm not used to turning right in these things. Lanier, I think I'll do okay there. Just want to keep this momentum going and hopefully get a couple more top 5s.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, appreciate you talking with us. Congratulations on second place, and maybe we'll get to talk to you some more next week.
Thank you for the interview, JR. You guys have a good evening.
All right, guys, that was Jeff Aho, second place finisher tonight. Soup, who you got next?
I get to talk to Ken Allen. He started in 3rd, fell down a little bit. It got far back as I think 4th or 5th, was able to work his way back up as they got out of the way. Ken, nice finish.
Yeah, good race.
You're watching
a long race.
Yeah, nice to go green. It's got to. I bet you it's almost less tiresome to go 100 laps of green than it is to be in the car for so much longer with all those yellow flags.
I don't know. My arms were getting tired there at the end.
You saw those 2 guys in front of you going at it there. They got close a couple times. Any thoughts of maybe vulturing one?
Boy, they made contact. We had the lap traffic, and the tires were pretty much used up, so it wasn't like I could really force anything. It's just hoping that they could get together and I could slip through. But all 3 of us were talking in the staging area that we were all pretty much just stuck. We had what we had. It wasn't going anywhere.
I'm glad we got to talk to you this one because it's probably better than getting to talk to you last week anyway. The guys in the booth had to laugh when your boy turned you last round. We wanted to get some parenting advice up here. We were all talking about it. Were there any more chores? Was there like extra trash to take out for the kid?
I'm not going to lie. My wife had to separate me and Luca last week.
Well, you ended up finishing right behind him, and the kid's having a pretty good season. It's got to make you happy.
Yeah, that was his excuse for last week. He said, "Well, you still finished 6th." It didn't work.
It was fun. It was a nice smile from all of us. That's kind of what this thing is all about, having a good time. Congratulations. Nice to see you finish up front, man. We'll see you next. Hey, what's your road racing like? What can we see in a couple of weeks when you go to Watkins Glen? Is that going to be something to keep an eye on, or are we going to have to cover our eyes?
I am practicing. That's all I can tell you. I'm practicing, and my air cleaner's in the way. That's what's going on.
All right, man. Good luck. See you down the road.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, that's what it's all about. I don't know about you guys, but JR and Ryan and yours truly really enjoyed calling this one. It's fun to see a nice, clean race with some good racing. And I think a lesson to be learned there. Jeff Aho would have killed to make that pass on Stout, but he was able to see the better picture and try to get a little momentum. I just love that interview. That's why I like our post-race interviews. We can learn so much. Listen, when are we going to do this again? Well, we're not going to go to that road race yet. Next time we come up, we're going to go to Lanier. These guys should know how to race Lanier. My goodness, that's the first track you'll race when you get onto the iRacing service. So you want to check that out. That's going to be next Thursday. But before then, how about the Bootleg Racing League? We're going to be doing that doubleheader from Myrtle Beach. The SK Modifieds early, and then the late models late. That makes sense. Late models late. Seems only appropriate. Those broadcasts, future broadcasts, past broadcasts, all in protection of the Virtual Grip Network. With that said, until we see you again, have fun storming the castle.